Hey everyone, I think this will be my fifth or fourth, I believe, fourth tutorial. I'm going to try to talk a little bit more emotively, mainly because it's just very boring to listen to me in some of the other videos, and I realized that just looking at them. This is going to be a little bit more complicated of a trick. It's the tutorial for the spin and the continued spin behind the back, which is different from the whip it around, which is going to be going in the opposite direction and has much less movement involved. For this one, you're going to be having almost a continued spin for the entire time. So, it's going to be a little bit longer tutorial, no avoiding it, but it's going to start, this really doesn't matter anymore, I don't think, for the ring. It's really just the motion where you're going to be focusing on your thumb in the beginning and then the pinky of your other hand in the end. I'll show you the righty version. If anyone needs the lefty version, tell me and I'll make one just for that person or for any lefties. But in this case I'm going to show you for a righty. And it should be the same, just reversed for a lefty. If you still have your ring pointed towards the inside. This idea is going to be, you're going to start with your skip catch, which was the first tutorial. And from here, when you skip to your right hand, or your left hand depending on if you're a righty or a lefty, when you catch in that hand, instead of continuing, you're going to bring it with your thumb. So your thumb's facing down. You want to bring your thumb around basically you're doing a figure eight with your thumb. So if you see my thumb is here, it's doing a figure eight in the air, but the end of the figure eight is happening behind your back. So you caught it. Spin, catch. First part of the figure eight, that's that part of the eight. Then the second part of the eight is bringing it around back. So you've now made a figure eight and you've ended behind you. So the first part of the figure eight is this loop. The second part of the figure eight just happens behind you. And then it should be like this. And when you're gonna pass it, and the pass is the next part. But what you want to end with for this is when you catch it, you make your first part of the figure eight, the second loop of the figure eight, and you're going to catch behind, but you want to catch it straight. So you're going to naturally have it like this. You just want to catch it straight behind your back. So, first part of the figure eight, second part of the figure eight, end it right, straight up and down. Your thumb should be facing up. So, thumb down makes the figure eight end with the thumb up. And what this looks like, just to show you quickly, is just this part looks like that, which is also just really cool in and of itself, and you can then bring it back out and do something else, but that's the beginning of this trick. You go from your spin catch to your main hand, that thumb makes a figure eight, and you're going to end with that behind your back. And then this next part's going to be the catch, or the switch, where you're going to have it. Figure eight, it's straight up and down behind your back. And now I'm going to show you, because you can't really see what's going on right now. When you go figure eight, you're going to catch it directly with your other hand. Both thumbs should be facing up, and you want to reach below the hand that you already have it. So, you're spinning, figure eight, and catch. Right into the catch. It's not stop, then catch, though you can do that to begin with. Figure eight right into the catch. And remember, you want to grab below. So, figure eight, catch. Now after this catch, it's almost the same thing but reversed, where now you're focusing on your pinky, which is facing down. You're going to bring it in a figure eight. So, my pinky's down right now. Bring it out and up and around. This is a little bit confusing because it's not a perfect figure eight, and I know that. The beginning of the figure eight starts here. So it's almost from behind your back, you want to bring it like this. So pinky down to thumb down. Pinky down, just bring it out so that your thumb's down. And that's where you're going to start your figure eight, which is pinky up, and then the end of that figure eight is going back into the spin. So from your skip catch, thumb in a figure eight pass, pinky in a figure eight, and the end of that figure eight is your pass back into this. So imagine that just like you were doing this. into your spin. Quickly, that will look like spin, that catch behind the back, and the continued. And that continued does tend to be a little bit awkward, so at first be very slow, because I've nailed myself in the leg, I've nailed myself other places you don't want to nail yourself in. But yeah, start slow, where you get it, catch it, bring it in that figure eight, because this is an awkward motion to get that back into the spin. It is a little bit forced, but when you get used to it, you can just bring that in the figure eight, and that figure eight brings it right through. So that up and down. So whereas, here's a good thing, whereas this figure eight is out to just one in front, one in back, this figure eight is almost one facing forward and then one facing sideways. So whereas this one's front and back, this one is almost in this plane, you want to do the first part of the 8. And then in front of you is where you want to do the second part. So it's like an 8 bent around a corner. Say, this is the corner. There we go. Your figure 8 is bent around that corner. So the first part of your figure 8 happens on this plane. The second one happens on this plane. You just continue that motion. So I'll show you one from the front, starting out. In the skip catch, thumb makes the double figure 8, or the single figure 8 really, just one in front, one in back. You catch it, front, back, continue. Figure 8, catch, figure 8, continue. Figure 8, catch, figure 8, continue. Figure 8, catch, figure 8, continue. And one last one from the original spin, which is, again, if you didn't see the video, a really quick recap is this one's always, the markered end always ends up. And when you pass it, you want both hands facing up. But from this, you pass it in that figure 8. And the idea is, and something I still haven't gotten down perfectly yet, that pass should be fluid, just like it's continuing. And you really do want to start out slow, because if it turns and whips you in the leg, or whips you in, if you're a guy, whips you in the nuts, it's not fun. So you continue it, working slowly, just getting that figure 8 motion down. Once you get that motion down, that's just a lead into so many other things that you can do. You can then do right into the armpit again, from figure 8 back to the back. You then just kind of glide it around to your armpit. Act like that's to the armpit, which was the last tutorial. Or you could just bring it around and end however you want. But the idea is, this really is all about the form. Slowly get the figure 8 from the front to behind, catch it by grabbing under, both thumbs facing up, both hands facing out. That's probably a better one. And bringing it in that figure 8 motion again back into your grab. The one thing that is tempting when you're doing this is when you get to that second figure 8, it wants to turn in this way. So when you're doing it, you tend to face it outwards. That can end up hitting your stomach, which isn't comfortable. So when you're starting and moving very slowly, you want to just make sure it's flat out in front of you, instead of angling itself in like this. Just make sure it's flat, is what you want. And, yeah. That's that move.